Hey everybody, it's Sir Onion Knight. Uh, so yeah, today was an interesting day for me. uh, for those who don't know, Quin69 is a streamer from New Zealand, and he decided that on the 14th, that Final Fantasy XIV is just not the game for him. In a Twitter post, he stated the reasons for his dislike of the game, listing the lore, quote-unquote weeb aesthetics, slow clunky gameplay, a lack of RPG mechanics and character customization, and non-existent PvP as the reason. It wasn't all negative, however, as he followed up with some of the things he enjoyed, such as the world feeling alive, diversity in environments, the soundtrack, and most importantly to the scope of this video, the community. While some of his reasons for disliking the game seemed a little strange, particularly the RPG mechanics and character customization, which I think many could argue that this game has plenty of. For the most part, it seemed like a reasonable take, and it was cool that he even gave the game a shot, even though it wasn't really for him. What immediately followed from that was a slew of toxicity from many of the fans who found his critiques of the game to be offensive and inaccurate. The dogpile on Quinn was a stark contrast to the glowing praise I gave the Final Fantasy XIV community in a video I released almost 2 weeks ago, where I said that the community is the least toxic community I've experienced, and that toxicity didn't fester very long. What I failed to realize was that outside of the game, these people also use Twitter and will find any reason to justify piling on someone who voices a dislike for their favorite MMO. One of the reasons Asmongold was very vocal against playing Final Fantasy XIV to begin with was the negative reactions that streamers like himself received from highly invested players who disagree with the opinions they have about the game from an outsider's perspective. What it finally took for Asmongold to try the game was Bellular and Preach speaking highly of it. Two well-respected WoW players who took the time to try the game and voice their thoughts were able to convince Asmongold to try the game simply by creating videos about it. It's easy to believe, if you hop in-game and quest around the world and join dungeon groups, that the entire community is a wonderful utopia in the middle of a world that is crumbling around you. Sure, there are a few people in the game that you can live without, particularly those with Burger King crowns in the North America data centers, as I'm told through many of your comments that the EU experience in Novice Network is a drastic difference from what we experience in the NA. Sure, you'll have a healer whose patience is very limited and may rage quit disconnect mid-dungeon group without so much as a word to the party because you may not be as geared for the content as you thought you were. These things are to be expected in a game which hosts many different personalities. But it is also easy to forget that there's a whole different world out there where these same people in your game with you right now, talking about how cute their potato is, who are ready to attack any who even so much as breathes the wrong way in Final Fantasy XIV's direction. Twitter. Twitter is it's a platform. This is a platform where nobody can agree with anything, even if two people that are arguing are saying practically the same thing, just worded differently. It's all about how you say it, when you say it, and whether you ended that sentence with a period or not, or so I've apparently learned today. Twitter can be a very toxic place to be. Naturally, the users on Twitter that so happen to also be Final Fantasy XIV players can be just as toxic as any other user on that platform, and it shows in the replies to Quinn's tweet. They are, at the end of the day, assimilated into the internet culture, and to a further extent, Twitter's knee-jerk reactionary culture. In Quinn's replies, there were people bringing up his poor DPS, and the fact he was carried in in-game content, and the fact that he boosted his character, making it harder for him to understand his class better and how the game works. To top it off, people were saying that by boosting his character, he skipped the story and ruined the experience for himself. While some of this may be correct, I feel like the community is taking their frustrations out on the guy in a way that really sets the Final Fantasy XIV community in a negative light. Quin69, who I only recognized recently from a handful of WoW Classic drama videos, is not a journalist. He's not even a games reviewer or a critic. He's just a regular guy from New Zealand with a penchant for over-the-top reactions to mundane situations and an overinflated ego. He is brash, cocky, and very animated in many of his reactions. Whether this is just him, or it's his personality dialed up some to play to the audience, it was clear that what he said and did in stream and on Twitter upset many. On Twitter, you had people sharing clips of him mocking the earlier dungeon difficulty, saying that he enjoys WoW's story more than Final Fantasy's story by a mile, exclaiming to his viewers that he's boosting, even so much as being guided by his chat on how to do so and what exactly to boost. There are also clips of his poor raid performance. In one clip, he got one shot by a boss ability and then yelled, "Where's the heals?" In a more relatable clip, though, as a person who only recently came to a battle that had this mechanic, there were a couple instances where he failed the active time maneuver mechanic. The first time because he didn't know what to do, and the second time simply because he forgot about it until it was too late. I think as veterans of the game, a lot of people lose sight over the fact that some of the mechanics in this game are unique, or at the very least implemented in a different way or under a different name. And so it's easy to take for granted the fact that you know all about these features while someone else may not. But this leads me to the point of this video. Why does the community put so much weight in the views of a streamer that they may have otherwise never heard of before? As I mentioned earlier, he is neither a journalist or a critic. Rich Campbell, otherwise known as Asmongold's best friend, and now a fellow Lalafell, also made a few really great points in his stream recently. Thanks to a viewer for letting me know about this, because I actually missed the stream originally.
Yo, I saw some drama while I was on the toilet. And I actually want to talk about this really quick. And then it's back to the quest. I actually think that this is important. Quin is getting like so much shit. And I don't think that he should. Basically, Quin had a really bad experience with the community, right? And he said, based in true, seriously, actually the worst community I've ever interacted with to date. And Carnage says, Quin, have you ever heard the phrase you used to? Dude, I do not think Quin deserves that at all. And people being toxic right now about the Quin situation, dude, you have to hear me out. Quin boosted a character and then didn't have fun with the game. If you come from WoW, of course you would boost. Why wouldn't you boost, right? And you have to understand that with Quin, when your chat, this isn't WoW, yes, but you have to understand that a lot of people came from WoW. It actually makes sense that a lot of people would make that mistake. Because you want to hear the fucking truth? If I played this game without stream, I would have made the mistake of boosting 100%. Because in WoW, none of the old content is good or has any value. I will watch this really quick before I hear his opinion. I'll say mine. Without watching everything from here's the thing. Quin made the mistake of boosting, which made his experience worse. Which is okay. When you have a chat of 15,000 people telling you what to do, when you actually have like a mentor chat, you get confused. You will like, it is an overwhelming experience because half of the people are telling you one thing, they're saying don't boost. Then the other half that probably don't play Final Fantasy are saying to boost. And you start getting frustrated.
Love your content.
You're trying to read all the mentors because you're trying to make like the right content, and you start getting fucking confused, and you will say stupid shit. You will do stupid shit. Then you get to the boost and you're not having fun, and then chat's like fucking yelling at you and shit like that. Dude, he fucked up by boosting. Why? Just because he doesn't like the game that we like doesn't mean that we need to like torture him. You know what I mean? And I'm actually defending him. Like, I understand that he didn't try, right? He didn't actually try the story. He has no idea what he's talking about with the story. Just let him move on. Like, let him move on. And he's not, and this is a thing that some people will understand once I say it. Some people aren't going to listen to it. But when you have the pressure of streaming and you start streaming and the stream is not going well, and like, look, like all of you guys spamming bad take right now at me trying to defend a human being who's getting a bunch of people giving him hate on the internet because he didn't like a game, even though he played it the wrong way, right? The same way that we all talk about, hey, let's not tell somebody how to play the game. Let's not be a mentor chat. And now you guys spam bad take because I'm defending a human being. Imagine your entire stream doing that for an entire day. I bet all you bitches in the chat right now saying bad take would fucking crumble if one person said something mean about you on the internet. Now imagine 15,000 people going, you fucking idiot, you can't fucking read, you dumb fucking shit. You can't read the story, you played the game wrong. Can't even play the fucking game right, can't play a fucking game. You fucking bitches would crumble. And now you're gonna sit in your fucking chair and give somebody shit because they didn't play the game the right way and didn't fucking enjoy it. Fuck you. The thing is, Quin did not play Final Fantasy a way that made him enjoy the game. It happens. It happens. I don't think he deserves shit. You reap what you sow? Fuck you. Fuck you. You're enjoying the game. That's fucking great. Fuck you. Leave the guy alone.
With these things in mind, why would the community go so far as to dogpile on him in some strange bid to defend a game that needs no defending? Final Fantasy XIV has such a massive player base right now as I'm making this video. What harm does one streamer do to the game or the community that it justifies people throwing out all logic and reasoning and deciding that they want to be hateful and spiteful to someone who just doesn't want to play your game anymore? Telling the guy you boosted so you ruined your experience doesn't bring him back to try that experience again. Telling the guy at least have the decency of not doing worse damage than a paladin doesn't make him a better raider at endgame. He already quit the game. So why am I talking about this today? To be honest, I don't really like Quin's content, so it's not that. I've tuned in from time to time while he played Final Fantasy, and I've seen a few streams of him in the past, but it's never really been my thing. I actually find most of what he said on Twitter to be rather fair, even if it was slightly out of touch due to his lack of experience with the game. The reason I'm upset is because I spent an entire video talking about what Final Fantasy XIV does right, and I praised the community for being very positive and being quick to stamp out negativity. This series of events made a liar out of me. Sure, I made a video talking about the toxicity from mentors and touched briefly on the asmongold stuff, but I still truly felt like the community was overall a better collective of individuals than many. I'm upset because I always hear people say they encourage more people to become Final Fantasy XIV content creators, but the moment someone makes content and then decides it's not for them, the community rallies to defend the game's honor as if their words were going to mortally wound the game's reputation. Nobody wants to deal with that kind of negativity, and I don't blame them. And to the fans in the community who may not have participated in the drama, but have found a reason to justify it, why? Why are you justifying it? Why would you let this go on, but not at the very least lend your voice to say, you know what, thanks for giving it a shot. I know it's not your cup of tea, but to each their own. Why not be as vocal about your support for those who may not enjoy the game as those who absolutely go out of their way to hurl toxicity? If you want to know why people on the outside think that the Final Fantasy XIV community is so toxic, it's because there is nothing to even out the toxicity. People keep saying, stop generalizing. It's just a small handful that can't take criticism. Well, prove that the community is more than just a few very vocal assholes. Your silence speaks volumes. Don't let a few jerks speak for you, because whether you like it or not, those people represent you in the eyes of those who don't play the game and haven't been able to experience some of the more wonderful personalities this community has. You don't have to be a content creator to spread a little positivity. So that was my rant for the day. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you didn't, whatever, I don't care at this point. You know, I know this video is going to get a ton of downvotes, little thumbs down icons and stuff, and I don't care. I really don't. Sometimes things like this has to be said, and so I said it. But yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and end the video here today. Yeah,